Exact, bela.
Bela
Bela,
na.
bela.
Dia. Hmm. Então, ita bela hahu naga, frater.
Bela, bela.
Ia, ha bela hahu ho sharing. Sharing be. Ba desktop. Lost to.
Lawson.
Dia. Frater Baharena?
Bela, bela.
Dia. How was sharing slide from start. Oke, ini mau sana toh?
Mosana.
Dia. Dia, frater, how be simu convite husi. Husi frater maritu, asa tina fo be. Po, se? A little workshop, kono ba IPP ba be. Scholastics here na be halo resensia. Iha Timor. Desde amu lester na tempo kerang. Nebe, batina ainda, né? How me approach different ituan. Kona ba aplicação IPP e habe e escola jesuíta na escola sira. Nebe, ainda né? How baseava how nia paper. Nebe ma how apresenta iha zogja. Nebe se apresenta ituan kona ba from Ratio Studiorum to Ignatian Pedagogy in the era of artificial intelligence. So, how ajusta ainda, né? Nessa sessão ba Scholastic Jesuita Sira e a formação no dar educadores. So, it's specifically for the Jesuit regents who are preparing themselves to teach. So, itahahu ainda, né? What does it mean to teach as a Jesuit in a world shaped by intelligent systems? So, how for minuto ida rua, by tanay rua, pausa ituan, sit with this question for a moment. Dia, mais ou menos a reflexão, né, bela guia e tinha sessão barak, né, quando ba sentido no dar Jesuit teacher in a world that is so controlled by information and technology. Whether you prevent the students in the classroom not to use AI or not, they are exposed to it, either inside or outside the classroom. They know where it is from, and they probably know how to use it. And it is something it's unavoidable, but we can engage with through teaching. So, session overview, I will begin with the Ratio Studiorum, the humanistic roots of Jesuit education. Although it was prepared 500 years ago, but its method has been translated into what we now call the IPP of 1993. So it is not something new, but it is a renewal and a new innovation for the modern context. But despite this development, we are faced with the challenges and opportunity for Jesuit educators, the AI era, which I think has been a big topic, and the most recent encyclical of Pope Leo has a special section on this, and he emphasized greatly on the formation and education of students whom we teach and prepare in our schools. So, based on some preliminary research, textual research, I see IPP as a possible response to AI because of its humanizing and discerning framework. Humanizing in the sense of being present in the midst of students, dialogue, encounter, reflection, direct accompaniment, which say I can't give, I think. And this can be used as a tool not to reject, but to accompany us in the process of formation. And also the last session will be on the practical implications, what it means for you as future teachers in this development. So I will begin with the Ratio Studiorum, humanistic roots of Jesuit education, the plan of studies. As you know, that it took the first Jesuit educators 50 years to design what we call Ratio Studiorum. So they have stages that they went through in order to develop a method that was valid for them and also relevant for them 500 years ago. And this was divided into a first comprehensive code of 4 parts. So the first part was administration. So the Saint Ignatius to Father General Claudio Acquaviva were very clear about the rules of the Jesuit superiors, the rule of local superiors, the rector of the schools, the principals, and prefect of studies, what they ought to do, what they need to decide, and what they can do to accompany the next 3 steps: the curriculum, method, and discipline. Uh, for the context of administration, now we call it the relationship between the local superior and the school administrator. How do they relate? And in the formation of the scholastics, and also the relationship of the local superior with the provincial and with the school director. It is now interpreted that way. But according to Ratio Studiorum, it was called the rules of provincial rectors and prefect of studies. And in the 16th to 18th century, the curriculum was basically based on theology, philosophy, rhetoric, and humanities. And there was also science, physics, and mathematics came along with these 3 subjects. And we still maintain this curriculum at this moment. In all the Jesuit universities, theology, philosophy, humanities, literature, social studies, and logic, mathematics are a must curriculum that we have to teach in all of our schools. In basic education is interpreted differently. For example, in the Philippines, they call it Christian humanism or introduction to logic, and also introduction to literature through plays, through poetry, and some other expression of art. But for university, it's very clear. You must have a course on theology, on philosophy, humanity, and mathematics. That defines our Jesuit curriculum in university. And method in the context of Ratio Studiorum was called lesson planning, disputations, and examination. Lesson planning, that is now, we call it in IPP lesson plan, is not something new. This was based, sorry, this was based on the method of prayer. If you see the method of prayers for meditation and contemplation, you have to prepare yourselves according to point. First point, you must have a self-disposition. Second point, you must prepare the text. The third point, you must ask for the grace. The grace is what we call the grace in the prayer is interpreted in the Ratio Studiorum as the lesson objectives. And lesson objective, it's still maintained at the current IPP lesson planning. Disputations is about debating, discussion among the students and the teachers on special topics. Disputation was not only practiced in the Jesuit schools, but also in the Jesuit novitiate and scholastic grade. The beadle or appointed person will read a text, the rest will listen, and we'll have a discussion on that. and also the examinations will follow in order to see the mastery of the subject. So actually, if we connect this to the current IPP, it is innovation. It's a reinterpretation according to context, but the main uh, uh, inputs and content remain the same. And discipline, student formation. So aside from the intellectual formation, the students was supposed to be disciplined in character and also in moral obligation. So discipline was interpreted through the characteristic of Jesuit education. Sorry, uh, characteristic of Jesuit education, which was done in 2000, in 1986. But that was not, although it was well received, but it was also worldwide. What do you call? It invited worldwide reaction for a change. That's why we have the IPP. So the discipline is the formation of the characters we have in our schools. So the whole from the whole objective of Ratio Studiorum is for ad perfectum eloquentiam informat, an education toward perfect eloquence. That a graduate of Jesuit school is able to speak well, to articulate well intellectually, morally grounded, intellectually capable, and spiritually rooted. That was the vision of Ratio Studiorum. So the perfect eloquence was the outcome of the learning. It was so after graduating from our school, this was their profile to be measured uh, after they had finished with us. But as the times goes on, we have to change our approach. So in 1972, when the Jesuit educators and Jesuit delegates met Father Pedro Arupe, he they asked for a new paradigm to guide Jesuit schools, because in 1962, one of the general assistants for education saw that the Ratio Studiorum was no longer relevant in 1960s, especially during the Council of Vatican II. Uh, and so in early 1970s, a delegate of Jesuit education met Father Pedro Arupe, and he formed a commission on Jesuit education. But because of what happened to him, he was not able to carry that on, and the mission was passed to Father Kolvenberg. And in 1980s, Father Kolvenberg continued that commission, and so they produced the document called Characteristic of Jesuit Education. Although the characteristic of Jesuit education was well received, there was dissatisfaction among the Jesuit educators, both lay and also Jesuit, that it was difficult to apply. It could remain a philosophy and a guide to Jesuit education, but could not be practiced in the classroom like what Ratio Studiorum used to be. Uh, because of that reason, the same commission continued to produce. What they worked for 4 years to produce Ignatian Pedagogical Paradigm, which was called a renewal of the tradition for modern context. So it was renewed. It was not. It was not a new ratio. It was translated according to the need. And so it's important to see it deeply, uh, to see deeply um, uh, our five elements of IPP, because sometimes we think or we feel we know, so we could have the tendency to overlook or to ignore sometimes. But I think Ignatius is very clear in his annotation of the exercises that repetition is needed to deepen our knowledge. So here I present to you again the five elements, especially the importance of uh, context is not just about understanding the learning background, but I think it's about the attention you give to the students, attention to the whole person. So in this sense, what does it mean for us as Jesuit educators in paying attention to students? What does it mean for us in the classroom, outside of the classroom, and also in the environment where we live? Uh, it needs certain discernment for our practical approaches. So we see, we always say and articulate that our education begins with attention to the whole person. But what does it mean when students who have difficulty in life, or who seem to be naughty, who seem to be difficult to deal with, and you judge them, and you start to judge them based on where they are? Is this an attention to the whole person? I think it's good for reflection. In experience, we articulate that learning engages mind, heart, imagination, and will. As you know, that the mind in the experience is actually the mind we use for reflection. Uh, the heart and we the heart is the empathy. Father Johnny has interpreted it as empathy. You need to have some empathy in order to empower to empower the learning, uh, imaginations and will. So you have, in the experience itself, you have the opportunity to form the student's critical mind. uh, but at the same time, you must also provide opportunity how this critical mind can be neutralized through heart, which I think in modern pedagogy we call it affective approach. You have the cognitive in the mind, but you need that so that the imagination could be creative. Because when imagination is both engaged in mind and heart, then the will, which is the action, will be more practical for students to understand. So Ignatius said that for your contemplation and meditation to be meaningful, you must taste things internally. Taste in the sense of engaging, of encountering, dialoguing without rejection. No matter what happens, it's about accepting what is there without 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 rejecting based on the biases information you had before. But you have to taste what is right in front of you. I think that is what Ignatius mean by tasting the prayer experience when you pray, uh, in the annotation. And I just want to emphasize this for us, to guide our decision in terms of power, because teacher has power, and the power is usually exercised in the experience. But one thing a Jesuit educator keeps in mind is that in the spiritual exercises, Saint Ignatius was very clear that let I was like a student whom the Creator guided to see the real world that I've gone through. So if we interpreted this in the classroom, we let the students to break whatever he knows so that it could become real in front of the teachers to guide. But when the power dominates in the experience, it's very hard or challenging for the students to be him or herself in order to discover what is true, because the teacher is the absolute truth there. And that is the tendency, especially in our context in Timor. It's quite risky. So the reflection is to help us to balance the learning, aside from examining the meaning or motivation or implication through memory and feeling. But I think, in my view, it is to help us to balance where we have gone so far, what we have done, and what we have been doing in order to improve the learning before the action comes. So, Frate, I think if you pay carefully to this experience and reflection, it's a prayer of Saint Ignatius of Loyola. No, it's a prayer of generosity. It is, it is, it is that meditative and contemplative prayer that are translated into a method of teaching. That is why many research, or some other researchers have explained that uh, Ignatian pedagogy is not just an academic pedagogy where you just teach them according to the five elements, but it is a way of life to approach students so that the students can take this into their own life. So when the students are able to take the lesson into their real life, then the action is possible, because reflection leads to decisions and transformative commitment. So moving from theory to lived response. For it's not, sorry. Hey. So action is not about, it's not only about submitting papers. It's not about doing well in exams or doing well in group project, doing well in their grades, that they are excellent. But I think the ability to live the values of IPP outside of the classroom and in their community. I think action is about changing of behaviors, about changing of attitudes, about changing of perception, the way they look at the world, the community, their family, and their relationship. I think so. When it comes to evaluation, we uh, Jesuit schools nowadays, because we are influenced by competitions of outside world, we want to, because the drives from the outside are so strong that sometimes you feel like you want to become like them, but actually not. We have our own principles to guide us. If you accompany the recent news of what happens in Ateneo de Manila, the alumni of the Ateneo, the professors are calling on the Jesuits to go back to their own root, because when you are so much into the world of corporations, the corporation world will start to dictate you, and you might neglect your own spirituality. you know it's an example. It's an example for us to understand ourselves as Jesuit educators, in this world that is full of complexities. So it's always important to remind ourselves that we make decisions based on cura personalis, based on finding God in all things, based on being man and woman for and with others. We don't decide uh, uh, not only based on what the world is dictating, or what based on what the people are telling us, but we have our own guidelines, which has been, I think, incorporated in Ignatian pedagogy about the principles of making decision, teaching, and leading. Sorry, where are we now? So IPP in practice, or cura personalis. So how do you exercise cura personalis in teaching, in accompaniment, in guiding, and also uh, in everyday life? So more than academic performance, attending to the intellectual, emotional, moral, spiritual, and relational dimensions of the learner. So it's about creating a space. It's about creating a space because a space that is comfortable for engagement, could could invite a better relationship between teacher and students to engage in these aspects, in intellectual, emotional, moral, spiritual, and relational engagement and development. So we could say intellectually that one of the most important values cura personalis, but yes, it is true, it's cura personalis, but how do you exercise it? How do you, if you get angry in the classroom and you explode in front of the students, is it cura personalis? Is it care for the person? So the teacher is a accompanier, not merely an instructor, but a companion in the student's formation journey. Hey, hey. So working with, not just teaching too. So we have some points for reflection. No? What this look like in the classrooms? No, do will we be able to know students by name? Will we know their stories? Um, Designing learning from their context, not just the syllabus. So making time for personal conversation beyond content, and attending to students' struggles with compassion, forming conscience, not just the competence. So I think these one, two, three, four, five aspects are very much part of cura personalis. It's about the ability to know where they are so that we can discuss with them. Because once the students are afraid of us, or our colleague teachers are afraid for us, then the exercise of cura personalis is a challenge, because because of lack of openness. I think when there is an openness, there is flexibility, then we can exercise cura personalis, because it has something to do with the space, as I said. And the latest reinterpretation of IPP, through relational access and the 6Es. I believe you have received this in Ateneo de Manila. So, but I'm repeating it here in the context of our conversation. Um, Learner teachers, the formative relationship of accompaniment and personal care is the heart of Ignatian teaching. Uh, the personal care is always at the heart of our teaching, regardless of who they are, how they are, and also regardless of the intellectual capacities. The care must be there. When there is a care, then the teacher is a person engaged with reality, because bringing world into the classroom with critical awareness of the world of the students. Um, in the beginning of our session, I mentioned about technology, AI, and also the fast movement of today's world. Uh, it is now a challenge for teachers to engage with the students' reality. So learner world, education sends students outward, right? Formed to act justly and serve the common good. So you know them, you know their world, so that they become their own world. They become who they are. So that is a new development of IPP by refraction, three relational access with the 6Es. I already mentioned empathy, Uh, we need to have some empathy in order to empower the learning. No, we need the expertise so that the students can be enthusiastic to receive our lesson. Because we have the empathy to empower the students to learn, seeing and responding to the students, then our teaching will come with depth and contagious love for the subjects because it invites the students to engage, to be enthusiastic, and then uh, and then the class will be able to be engaging in the sense of being interactive, so that we can produce the excellence. So empathy must come with sorry empathy comes from context and experience. Expertise is the ability of the teacher to exercise the lesson through questioning, through creativities, through exercises to enable the enthusiasm, so that the class could become alive, interactive, active, in order to produce excellence. Because because to be man and woman for others is not just being for service, but being for service that is it's empowering, that is enthusiastic, that is excellent, I think. So it is developed by Father Johnny Go and Dr. Atieza, culturally close to Timor-Leste, but is still awaiting systematic empirical validation, engage it as an inspiring framework. So this is already worldwide received, but because I'm at the moment as a scholar, I can say that this is an excellent approach, but still awaiting the systematic empirical validation, engage it as an inspiring framework. So this is the latest development of Ignatian Pedagogical Paradigm to integrate. So the 6 A's are included in the 5 elements of context and experience, reflection, and action. So refract. So you reflect in order to take action. So the experience is there, the reflection and the action is here, but you still need the evaluation and assessment in order to see whether the 3 axes and the 6 A's are really effective in our teaching. So the era of AI, we still have some minutes to go, artificial intelligence rather, challenges and possibilities. As you know, AI in education, it's a promise, but it's also a peril, no? Risky. Uh, AI promises personalized learning. We can do it ourselves, no? Extended access to learning beyond classroom. It can happen anywhere. Administrative efficiency. It can write letters for you. It can plan lesson for the teachers. No, inclusive education, translation tools, and adaptive platform for diverse learners. But there are also risks for each of these dimensions. There is a logarithmic biases. No, AI system can reproduce and amplify structural inequities. Inequities. No, you can do the adaptive platform, but the reproduction of it is sometimes questionable. Um, you can see that extended access, learning beyond the classroom, but it's a depersonalization. It isolates people, reducing learners to data points rather than person's information. So personal information is about engagement. We talk about empathy. We talk about students, teachers' world. In this depersonalization, it's not possible. So administrative efficiency, no, but there is you can ask AI to do a paper or to do an essay for you, but you might not be aware of the erosion of reflection. Speed and automation undermine depth of thought and discernment. You might not be able to see the balances between pro and contra. There is no depth in meaning. It just appears as it is. If you compare it to Bloom taxonomy, it is just in a descriptive level. There is lack of understanding, lack of analysis, lack of creation. It describes simply based on data that is there, and you are not sure whether the data is true or not. You have to double check. So inclusive, it's inclusive. Yes, we talk about it, but you must also be aware of surveillance and privacy. So large-scale data extraction raises questions of autonomy and dignity, the ownership uh, of the authors of the things that AI give you. It might not be acknowledged because in the first place it's not yours. It's a data system that is doing it for us. But it does not mean a rejection. Huh? It does not mean a rejection. It is already there. It's like another Google. People sometimes my friends ask me, "Oh, it's not dangerous. It's about how you use it, and it's about how you engage with it in order to be ethical. Because it's just like Google. Last time, teachers are afraid of Google because the students will copy from Google to finalize their paper. Now they will copy from AI. It's the same thing, almost the same, in a different uh, approach. So you just to have to see the balance, no? So I like the Father Nicholas, Adolfo Nicholas' response to this. So the rapid AI acceleration of technology risks contribution to a globalization of superficiality. I think this is what we are afraid of. The students can come up with a very good paper, but they may not be able to defend. They may not be able to explain. They may not be able to reflect critically on it. So this is our concern. So because globalization of superficiality become a culture where instant access to information undermines depth of thought, reflection, and discernment. It's a speed, it's efficient, it's fast, but no depth. It's empty when the person cannot even prove it to be true. So that is our concern. I think that is the intention of our current pope. That how will education promote depth, promote reflection, and it's not promote but emphasize depth and reflection and discernment in our educational system. What can we do to make it possible? So IPP as response to the AI era. Um, I think rereading, this is my research, it's a textual research, so I'm presenting it to you. Rereading the five elements in a digitally mediated world. Context now. The context now must include digital environment. I think there are algorithms, interfaces, and systems shaping students' attention and identity. So you have to consider this, that the students will use algorithm in their learning and experience. Learners now interact with intelligence system. IPP urges critical awareness of mediated experience, its enrichment, and its risk of alienation. So what kind of learning experience will you provide that there is a real interaction, there is an encounter, that students will be able to give insights, natural insights from that is based on their reflection. So reflection in the era of AI could serve as the antidote to superficiality, to fast movement, to speed, to automation, because it enables learning to interpret digital experiences through ethical, spiritual, and social lenses. They use it, but how will they be able to interpret it in their own way, their own understanding, and their own creation of new knowledge and insights? And in action, forms moral agents who use technology for the common good, competence integrated with consent. So I think the current Pope is somehow before he produced the encyclical, my studies was already there and aligned with it. No, you form moral agent. We use technology for the common good. No, not for distraction, not for manipulation, for manipulating truth, or not for telling lies, but it's a real competence integrated with conscience. It's a challenge for all of us, but how are we going to do it is now the question. So evaluation extends to moral accountability and social responsibility in digital context, not just grades. Uh, not you have to extend. Rather, are you still on? Hello, 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 Frater Elon. Hello, can you sign in again, Frater? Hello. Okay, talvez animate. So, Frater, so the Jesuit educational response. So, okay, I will continue explain and record it for you. So, the Jesuit educational response. So, is a counter narrative grounded in discernment and integral formation. Um, we discernment over impulsivity, over speed, over automation. You ponder about it, think about it, reflect about it, whether it's important or not, and involve reflection over distraction. When you are distracted, when you get lost, it's important to be silent, to pause, to stay for a while, then you move on. um, you could receive a lot of information. It's just one click away. You receive everything that has been uploaded by data, or it's been there through data and through people who put it there. But you need some wisdom to understand. It's not just about having those knowledge in your mind to show or to know that you know a lot of things, but it's about having the wisdom to understand what are those informations for, what is the meaning of this information. Is this information good for us? Is it good for our life? It's good for students to know. So it is certainly wisdom, and it's important to have this sense of relationality, to be in relationship with others, to have a true dialogue, to be present over individualism. So, an ethical integrity over efficiency. I think these one, two, three, four, five elements serve as an invitation for us if this is possible in our education system. And for you as future Jesuit teachers, uh, practical implication from IPP for teaching in an AI influenced world. Know your students' digital context. Understand how AI and social media are shaping your students' attention, identity, and moral imagination before designing your lesson. So know where they are and meet them there. Designed for reflection, not speed. Counter AI's pull toward quick answer by building structured reflection into every learning encounter, journal, discussion, contemplative moments, no? Design, ponder on your lesson, ask questions about the importance of what is being taught and what is being received by the students. And be irreplaceable. AI can tutor and grade. It cannot accompany. Therefore, your presence, your pastoral care, and your personal witness being there are precisely what technology cannot replicate. Engage AI critically and creatively. Neither reject nor uncritically adopt AI tools. Help students discern how does this tool serve or undermine human dignity? Who benefits? Who is left out? And lastly, continue your own formation. Ignatian pedagogy requires personal appropriation. Study it, live it, seek supervision, seek help. Ask people how to make Ignatian pedagogy more alive, more active, more reflective, more engaging, more sympathetic in your classroom, and bring it into your prayer and your apostolic reflection. Forming persons for others, the 5 C's, no? The goal of Jesuit education as ardent today as in 1599, competence, no? Excellence is one's field, rigorous and well-formed, conscious, ethical discernment rooted in values and faith, compassion, genuine care for others, especially the marginalized, no? Pay attention to students who might not know better or who have difficulties in comprehension, who have difficulties in writing, who have difficulties in reading, who have difficulties in understanding the lesson. It's a call for us to care for them, walk with them, and be present to them. And perhaps the presence, the companionship you have will motivate his or her world to learn better and commit active engagement with justice in the world, no? To present to the students what happens in today's world, give real case studies, give real scenario for them to reflect that help their commitment. And most important values for our Jesuit education is Christ-centeredness, formation oriented towards the Ignatian mission, that they truly, like Christ, become persons for others in everything, no? In their service, in their loyalty, in their professionalism, in the profession, in the religious life, in the professional life, that they are always Christ-centered in their approaches, in the places they work, in the places where they will go. These 5 C's, we hope to stay with them, that it will become the basis for their decision making, for their leadership, and for their participation in the community they will serve. So in the AI era, IPP ensures that technological progress serves humanization. Technology must serve humanity. Forming graduates who think critically, act justly, and discern wisely in the service of faith, justice, and the common good. So my closing reflection is this for you, Frater. The task is not technological integration alone, but the cultivation of a moral and contemplative posture capable of engaging technology with responsibility and wisdom. As future Jesuit teachers, you are being formed to bring this posture into every classroom. So this is all for Ad Maiorem Dei Gloriam, for the greater glory of God. I am Father Sidelizio Pereira. At the moment, I am a current PhD candidate in education of the University of Notre Dame, Australia. So this presentation is based on paper that I presented in International Conference in Education in Yogyakarta last November 2025, and this has been published in one of the international journal uh, education. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you. Então, frater, lo sanai,
Lo sana.
casa.
iPhone mo visualnya.
Dia,
Eh,
dia. Ba fali da ohi casa.
Varför lider du? Amo stop the recording na naga.
Na fatinha la carigo? Na fatinha la. Recording
Tapa
la.
continue. Amo
Dia.
continue deh.
Dan tahu share ulang fali. Tahu
Ya.
stop mas sharing deh.
Dia.
Dia ya Timor mas nih.
Ay,
So I will repeat
pas.
again. Ah,
Okay.
ita ohin to iha NB, henega.
Yan amo.
Ah,
Ya action amo.
dia. Ya action dia.
Ya.
Ah, from parent slide. Okay. So here it is. So for moral agent, we use technology for the common good. It's for the goodness of everyone without distraction. Um, evaluation extends to moral accountability and social responsibility in digital context, not just grades. Right? Where are we now? Okay. So the next one is the Jesuit education response. So this response was based on my study as a proposed response to Jesuit education in the era of AI. Perhaps we emphasize more discernment over impulsivity, over speed, over automation, over something that need an automatic response just quickly, but give more time to discern on it, to reflect and ponder on it, whether it is important or not. And also employ reflection over distraction, because we receive so many images, so much information, so much knowledge that we want to have everything, and it could serve as distraction for us. So reflection is important, and we need wisdom. Wisdom, because as I say, distraction and information are somehow related. Information is not just for the sake of knowledge. Laos de tambah conhecimento barra ka tendo batututo maybe unsa ita comprende con aba conhecimento nerasi. How do you understand the knowledge itself, the depth, the meaning, the significance for life, not just absorbing everything that comes as it is, um, and develop a better relationality. No, a better relationship, I think, is something crucial. Not just between the teachers and students, but among the teachers themselves. We develop a better relationship that is more on presence, more on being there for one another, other than doing it individually or by ourselves. And that can be emphasized in the classroom to enable students to work together, to solve problem as a group, to go out for observation as a group, to do reflection as a group. And lastly is ethical integration over efficiency. Yeah? Ethical integration over efficiency. In the we want to be efficient, and so we the students will go to Google to add to look for answers, but ethical integrity in the sense that AI could provide ways of how to do it, but we must do it ourselves. Uh, about integrating the ways and also the way we want to do it by ourselves. So they both must meet somewhere in the middle. And for you as future Jesuit teachers or educator or Jesuit leaders, in my own studies, I propose practical implication from IPP for teaching in an AI influenced world. So, number one, know your students' digital context. It's important, no? Understand how AI and social media are shaping your students' attention. No? Identity and moral imagination. Are they attentive in your class? Are they there? Are they able to understand you before designing your lesson? Uh, it is it's important for you to be creative. Farata Sebel Rona, ya? Hello. We have so Frater, okay, we go this way, and I think I had already recorded for you everything. So thank you very much for your attention, and I will share with you this recording.